Alright, so I'm going to make a quick video that leads through all the steps of setting up the Python Club up through the first view. And I'm going to assume that everything is installed. I'm not going to go through all of the installs. Alright, for like Postgres and Visual Studio Code and Python, we'll assume that those are done. Alright, I have made, I'll zoom it up so you can see it, I have made a Django projects folder where I'm going to put my project. Alright, I'm going to minus that. I'm going to bring up a command line. Actually, going to kill this one and bring up a new command line. Alright, and I'm going to change the directory to documents, and I'm going to change it to Django projects. Okay, so now I'm in the Django projects folder. So the first thing I'm going to do is to create a the virtual environment. So I'm going to do Python-m venv, which is the virtual environment. You can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it env01. Okay, so I'm going to create the virtual environment. Now you can do a quick directory and you can see that the virtual environment is there. Okay. So the second thing, now that the virtual environment is there, I need to activate it. So in Windows, this would be env01, and it would be scripts and activate. Okay, you can see that it has the env01 as in parentheses. That shows that you're inside of the environment. Now I'm going to install Django. I am going to do pip install Django, and it will install Django. It'll also tell me my pip is out of date. So it takes it a moment. Okay, so we've installed Django. Now, with Django installed, I can create my project. So the project level, you'd use Django admin. Start project. And then I give the project a name. Python Club project. I'm going to press enter, and then it's done. If I do a directory, now I see that I have env01 and I have Python Club project. Alright, so I am going to do a change directory to that Python Club project. If you do a dir here for a directory, you'll see that manage py is here, and there's also another Python Club project. This is where we want to be in order to create the app. Python manage py start app, and I'll call it Python Club app. Okay, now if I do a directory, you'll see that I have the app and the project and manage py. Now is when we can open up like Visual Studio code. I mean, you could do this from within Visual Studio Code, but I like to set it up first. Okay, so I'm going to make this a little bigger. I think that's maybe big enough. I'm going to do File, Open Folder, and I'm going to do the Python Club project. I'm going to select that folder. Now you may have to, you make it so I'm going to open up the Python Club project folder, and I'm going to go to settings.py. That's where we're going to make our first changes. At this point, notice it says it's Python extension loading. If you haven't installed the extension, you will have to do so now. There will be a little note over here that says that you need to install the Python. Just click it and do the install. It's not a big deal. But once you've installed the Python extension, then you can be free to edit here. It's taking mine a while to load. I'm not entirely sure why. So in the installed apps, if you go down here, there's a lot of different topics. But in the installed apps, you need to register the current app, which is Python Club app. Right? This is the app that we did. It has to match what's up here exactly. Okay, and you have to register it. If you were, we don't have to say anything about it in terms of where to find it, because we're assuming the default, right? If we put it somewhere else, you'd have to give the whole path to it. Now, the other thing that we need to do is we need to set up the database. And the engine is going to be different. So I am going to go, I tend to just steal this from GitHub, though so I go to my repository just because I'm lazy and I always am not sure if I remember it right. So I'm going to go to, actually I spelled my name, SP Conger, I spelled it wrong. Alright, so I'm going to go there, and I'm going to go to repositories. Let's make this bigger. And it doesn't matter really which one I'm going to do, but I'll do tech review. And I'll go into the project, and I'll get the settings py, and I'll come down and just grab the database stuff. So when I go back to the studio, I can copy. I think I need one more of those. So I'm going to leave everything here, except I'm going to call it Python Club DB. This doesn't exist yet. So one of the things that I need to do is I need to launch pgadmin. And what we'll do is we will add this database to Postgres. It may actually already be there, but if it is, I'll delete it and recreate it. I also need on mine to check the port, because I think the port is different. Okay, so newer versions are available, and that is always the case. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Do my password. Okay, so I'm going to open this. I'm going to do 10. Most of you are on 12. Okay, and I do have a Python club there. I have a pythonclub DB. Let me close this community assist. I don't have a pythonclub DB, so I'm going to leave that one there, and I'm going to just create a database, pythonclub DB. Actually, I'm going to make that lowercase p, and I will save it. Takes it a moment. So we have a pythonclub DB. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check the properties of my server and the connection, and its localhost, and it's 5433. The default is 5432, but ours is 5433. That is something, if you're having trouble connecting, make sure that the password you're using is the one you actually used in Postgres, and make sure that the port is the same. If it's a default, you don't have to do this, but mine is not the default. Alright, so I'm going to save this, and I'm going to add a terminal. And it is a command terminal, which is good. Alright, so I am going to, I do want command. Okay, there we are. That's weird. Alright, let's just forget about the weirdness for a moment, but let's, what I want to do is migrate, and I'm going to do Python manage migrate, and I don't think it will do it because, oh, it did it, it ran it. So I've already installed PG, I've already installed the Psycho PG. If you haven't, you will get an error that says that this is not installed. And what you want to do, I'm not going to run this command, but what you want to do is Python, actually what you want is pip install Psycho PG 2-binary. That would install it. I'm not going to do that because it's already installed. Now if we look back at the database, and if I open the pythonclub DB, and if we look at the schemas, which is where the tables hide, and we look at tables, it's done all of these tables. Right, so these are all default tables, keeping track of sessions, keeping track of migrations, keeping track of users and user groups, and etc. Alright, so we have all of that. Now, there's a couple of other things for just the basic setup. So, we have the URLs pie, and I'm going to drag this down a little bit. We want to add include, and we want to include the project or the app. So I'm going to do path, and I'm going to say pythonclub app, and then we're going to include it. This redirects this to the app. So I'm going to do include pythonclub app .urls. So there's a reason to do this, which is if you have multiple apps associated with a project, this makes sense to redirect it so that each app handles its own URLs. And that's what this does. Okay. We have, having done this, you don't want to, we're done with this one, so we should save it. I copied, you might notice that I copied these 2 lines because we can use those on the next. In the app, not in the project, so I'm going to close the project now. In the app, there is no URLs. So what I want to do is I want to add a file, and I'm going to call it urls.py. It's important that it be all lowercase. And when I do this, I'm going to paste this in here, and I'm just going to do this. It's going to give it the basic URL patterns setup, and I'll save that. We'll add one in a moment. So this is everything for the setup. We have installed the virtual machine. We've installed the project. We've installed Django. We created the project. We created the app. We've modified the settings file. So if I go to the club, we've modified the settings file by adding the app to the installed apps, and we've added the database. We've modified it to include the database. And then we've taken the urls.py. We've done an include to redirect it down to here. We've added a urls.py here, and we've got that. All right, so the next step was to create your very first view, and that's as far as I'm going to take it. But the very first view, there's several things that still need to be kind of added. One is that in the app, we need another directory. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a folder to pythonclub app, and it's called templates. This is where the HTML will go. Inside templates, I'm going to add another folder called pythonclub app. Alright, so pythonclub app is a folder on multiple levels. It's here, there's a, it's a folder in here too, but it's looking for things where it's going to be the same. Now, a couple of things. I am going to again go to GitHub, though I also put it in the assignment folder. I'm going to create a base. Now you can create these from scratch if you want. So in templates, I'm going to get the base, and I'm going to get it raw, and I'm going to do Control-C. The one in the assignments is probably better, by the way, because it doesn't have a lot of extraneous stuff that I'm going to have to change here. So on the templates level, I'm going to add a file called base.html. I'm going to paste this in there. So this is the base HTML that all the other things will be based on. I'm going to change this to pythonclub. That's the title. This is mostly just HTML. I have linked it all to the Bootstrap's style sheets so that we have some kind of style here. I've added a nav bar. All of the stuff in this nav bar has got to go away. Alright, because those things don't exist in this new project. Also, with a title instead of tech reviews, we probably want it as Python Club, which, as I said, why you probably want to stick to, and in here we have a heading, Python Club. Why you'd want to stick to the one in the assignment, because these all have a lot of things to change. So I'm going to save this. So that's our base. Notice the block content. This is where all of our other HTML will go. It'll all go inside of this block content right here. So you can have multiple bases. I mean, you can have multiple templates here if you want like different styles for different parts of the database of the website. But we're going to just stick with one. All right, now having done this, in the Python Club app, I'm going to do an index file. Well, actually, before I do that, let's go to the views. We will create the view. All right, the index view is not going to have much of anything in it, but we're going to make it as a typical function. So we're going to call it def index. And it is going to include an argument for, it takes in a request. All right, now the request is, again, the browser coming in and requesting a particular web page. It has other things in it too. It tells you like what browser and other things, but so we're doing this, we're just getting that request. We are going to render the request. Render is a keyword there, so we're going to render the request. And for this one, all we need is to know where to find the web page. So I'm going to do pythonclub app, and I'm going to say index.html. All right. So that's our whole thing. We're rendering the request and we're returning a page. That Python Club index is going to go in the Python Club subdirectory of templates. It always knows to look in templates, and then it says within templates to look for the Python Club app folder and then the index within that. We haven't created that index yet. But before I do that, I'm going to also go to the URLs, and I'm going to add path equals, and we'll do a parentheses. For index and for index alone, you can do empty quotes. We need to import views too. So I'm going to say from dot import views, and from dot means from the same directory. So I can say views dot, and it sees index, right? And we should give it a name. So I'm going to say the name equals index with quotes. The name is what you would refer to it as, and I'm going to put a comma after that. So I'm going to save my pattern here. This actually drove me nuts for a long time, figuring out the URLs, even though they're actually deadly easy. As I said, for index alone, you can do this. All right, so I am going to now go to the templates and the Python Club app, and I'm going to add a file. Well, let's do it this way. New file, index.html. All right, so I am just going to, at the beginning you need to have curly brace, %. This is basically saying that this is embedded script. And I am going to say imports. I'm going to look real quickly. So let's go to extend space HTML. I was trying to remember the word. Extends base.html. That tells it that we're going to use that. And then we need the begin block. So I'm going to again the percent, begin block, and then an end block. And I'm going to check on those to make sure I spelled those right too. Weirdly, the end block doesn't have spaces, but the beginning one does. And again, I'm going to look just to make sure that's absolutely, oh, block content, and then end block. Yeah, that wasn't quite right. So it's block content. And there's a space there. Now I'm just going to do very simple. H2. Actually, we'll just do it as welcome. And then I'm just going to put some text here. This is just simple HTML at this time. Welcome to the Python Club. And then I'm going to make another paragraph. Having trouble. Okay, so that's my introduction. I'm going to save this. Now, if we are lucky, so I'm in the, so I don't know if this will work because I'm not technically in the environment, though it seems to be running. So I am going to do, first of all, I'm going to do Python manage py run server. So it seems to be running, maybe not. Doesn't like, oh, I know what the problem is. So we go to URLs. There's no equal sign here. And now this shows you that it worked. All right, so that the server is running properly. So I'm going to go to my web page. I am going to HTTP (127.0-0-1:8000 Python Club app. What did I do? So in the index, extends base HTML. What did I do wrong there? Oh, I know why. And this is not atypical, particularly for me. Base HTML needs to be in quotes. I do Control S. Let's see if that did it. Let's go back to here. Refresh. There we are. There's Python Club. Welcome to Python Club. We do everything Python. Alright, so that is my video of all of the beginning steps up through the first view. Okay, so I'm going to kill the video.